Carlos.
So,
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Final game of the season. There isn't anything particularly riding on it, but how do you get the most out of this game against Reading at the weekend?
like you say, the most important thing is still is the last game of the season, and for us, until we finish the season, is not going to be complete, and we want to go to the game to show or to finish the season with a better feeling that we could get in the last weeks. So for us, until the season be done, we are going to play with all our higher of commitment with the league.
And does that mean you will put out your strongest available side? You wouldn't use it as a match to give some of the other players an opportunity?
We are going to put the team that we think that can help us to go for the game. Of course, understanding the situation, understanding the different moment of each player. We know that some of our players are not going to be available. That can be Pipa, for example, because he was managing the injury last week and not going to be ready to play the game. Toffolo neither is going to Toffolo is not going to be available neither to play the game because he was playing the last game with an injury. And more than the rest, it's like that from the medical staff, both players are not going to be ready to play the game. And like this, we are going to be analyzing every case to see what is the best formation that we can use.
Is there anybody available again after injury then? Is anybody like Fraser Campbell back again for you?
No. Campbell still is out of the team for the problems. So we are not going to recover in this week. We didn't recover any player that was injured in the previous game.
How important is it to reach that 50-point milestone, if you like?
The higher number of points that we could get, I think, would be a better thing for us. But I know how difficult it's going to be already. I know the quality of the players that they have. I know they are playing. They were playing, trying to go achieve the playing out, the playoff, and they couldn't do it. But I know that they are a team with a lot of personality with the ball, that they want to have the ball all the time with many quality players in the front of the attack. So it's going to be a challenge game, but our higher level of determination is try to go for the game that we do always in any scenario.
Do you feel that there is much of a gap between yourselves and Reading? Obviously, you look at the league and they are much closer to the playoffs than Huddersfield have been this season. But do you think the gap is actually as wide as it maybe looks?
I think Reading is, like you say, close to they were making a very good for me, a fantastic year. They were close to the playoff. One team that they weren't close to the playoff in the last years. And I think when you are playing one season like Championship with 46 games, now with 45 games, I think they are being in this part because they are being very consistency in the way how they play, because it would be impossible to achieve this. So I think in one season, the regularity, the consistency is one of the most important things. And they are showing that they have this consistency during all the year. So when one team is showing this, I have to respect a lot. More than to compare the squads, is that they during the year they have been more consistency, having a better result than us.
It's been a work in progress this season, hasn't it? A lot of changes, players adapting to your new style. When you reflect on the season as a whole, what do you think the most important thing you've learned as a head coach has been?
Oof. It's a difficult question that for me will be need more time to think to give you the right answer. But in one league, the consistency is very important. In one league, to have the maximum availability of players is very important too, to get the good results. But I think that these 2 points, because for me, even this year, if you reflect to the year, is not been a normal year because we are playing the same number of games in less space of time. During the game, we start thinking that only we could go with 3 changes, and after the league changed the regulation to 5 and increasing the number of players in the squad, has been like a one season with a lot of adaptations to do, and was very necessary to adapt. It's like one of the skills that for me this league was demanding to have was the adaptation to the players that we didn't have available to play with them, but not in a short time, in a medium or long term. Because for the player that we start to the player that we are right now playing we are keeping some number of players, but at the same time have been many changes too. But I think the skill to have adapted to the different scenario, to the different type of games, to the different possibility of the play that you have, to the different styles that you can propose, it's been one of the years that maybe we didn't manage in the best way, but have to be managed in the perfect way.
And what happens after the Reading game? Do you take a break? Do you get to spend some more time with your family? Or is it immediately straight into planning for next season?
I think all the things together in one. You need to mix and balance a little bit the break, because it's something necessary, especially after this very, very tough and demanding season. But at the same time, we know that for me, maybe one of the most important moments for the next year start now, start after the game, because it's going to be a key process or period of time for the next year too. So in football, you cannot find a lot of moments to stop, because you know that every year is connected, and as soon as one season is done, is finished, it's going to be starting the next year. So as soon as the game of Reading be finished, we'll be just with all our focus and determination to be working the next year. I know that here I have Di Bromby as a sport director and all the people that is working for him that are going to be very concentrated and start to be one important moment for them to trying to analyze the team and to see the next year squad. But this is what I tell you, first we need to finish the season, and after, even if we need the time with our families, because all of us, we need this, at the same time we are going to keep the connection, because the process here is not interrupted. It's interrupted the league, but not the process to start to create the future for Huddersfield.
And is that the moment where you start to sit down with the players who are out of contract and have conversations about whether you would like them to stay or whether their future lies elsewhere?
Exactly. I think as soon as we finish the season, these things are going to be fixed, are going to be done, because it's very important that every player go to the holidays knowing exactly what is going to be the future of them, if it's here in the club or if it's not here in the club, and start to everyone to be working in the direction they have to be working.
Do you feel like you need a rest?
I think rest is necessary for everyone, very necessary, especially after this demanding season. So 100% you need the rest, but something that as a coach is was this, that I think every coach, I think after one very demanding season, when you are 2 days at home, you start to miss the work too. So it's a little bit complicated. You need to create a little bit the energy, but as soon as you are a couple of days at home, you start to see the moment where you need to start to see players, to start to analyze things. So I think we like to be working, because if no, we wouldn't be coaches. We know that this is a demanding work, and we will use the break because it's necessary to stop, to make a difference between one season and another season. But it's true that our level of motivation, our level of joy for the future and for the things that we are doing is going to move us to reduce the time that maybe we should spend more in the trying to make a break. But as a coach, it's difficult to manage this. It's difficult because always you are thinking in football, because you know you are no coach.
Thank you ever so much, Carlos. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. Steve, we'll hand to you, please.
Hi, Carlos. This is our sort of, other than after the game, the last chance we're going to have to speak to you ahead of the summer. Where are your priorities in the transfer window?
Priorities. I think we are going to analyze with a lot of detail every position that we have, every player that we have. We are going to analyze a lot what was the performance of each player, because for me this is very important. At the same time, the contract situation with each player. And two, we are going to be watching, of course, the possibility of the market. So we are going to make a mix of everything like this together, that now I cannot tell you exactly what is going to be our main targets to go, but our main target as a club is going to be to make strong the squad, the stronger that we can do.
Yeah. Is there any particular sort of profile or skills from players that you want to bring in?
The best player that we can bring is like the best that you can bring the player, the better for everyone. The better for me, the better for the club, the better for everything. So, and sometimes the best player depend about the needs and the possibility and the option. For example, if you have many wingers, you are not going to be looking for the winger. If you have not many midfielders, you are going to be looking more for these possibilities. Like that's why I told you that we need to analyze the contract situation with the players and the needs that we are going to have as a squad. But our target always is to try to make the highest level of improvement in the squad, and always trying to be thinking how we can improve the group of the play that we have.
Is it important to try and get your business done early in the window?
It's very positive because I think the faster that you start to work with the player, the better for everyone, because you start to have the idea that we are going to work. I am one coach that have my philosophy to work, but at the same time, I need to be adapted to the possibilities of the squad that we are going to do. So it's very important to start to work with your players to see which type of situation are going to be comfortable for the players, which type of situation are not going to be comfortable for the players. So the faster that you start to work with them, you start to feel what can be the way to be a competitive team, that this is what we need to be.
You mentioned your philosophy there. Has your philosophy changed this year, or are you still looking to do the same things you went into last summer looking to do?
I think the most important thing that we need to do is to learn from the past. If we don't use the previous experience to the future, we are wasting our time every time. Of course, as a coach, I cannot tell you that I am so happy for the things that I did here in Huddersfield because I wanted to achieve a better results with any type of doubt. So I can understand when the people is looking and is saying that we needed to offer something else in the pitch. It's clear and honest, and I respect this opinion because it's true that for me, in my mind, I didn't finish the ideas of the way that I want to play, and I didn't finish the idea of the way of competitive that I want to create here in Huddersfield. So I think it's very important to use the past. It's very important to use our experience. It's very important to continue looking forward to the future, trying to build the best future that we can build.
What are the things that you think you do need to change that you've learned from over the last few months?
I am gonna need like a couple of weeks in the summer to give you the right answer, but I guarantee you that I will give you the answer when I do this analysis, because there are things that, for example, I can tell you now is like the number of goals that we have conceded is not the right number of goals that we like to concede. This is, for example, one example. The number of points that we achieve so far is not being the best number of points that we want to achieve. So we are going to see why these things, the connection between these things. We are going to see if the points in defense are points that we should attack better or are points specifically in defense. We are going to see these points are more from the collective point of view, more from the individual point of view. And we are going to be analyzing all these things during this summit. That's why the break that Catherine was asking for me, maybe it's not alone that sometimes you need, because you need to be focused too in the things that you need to analyze to use the experience that we were talking.
I imagine it'll be a big relief for everyone when you get to the final whistle on Saturday as well. You'll be able to draw a line under this season.
Yes, I think it's more than the relief. Now our target is clear that in the previous week we get the target, but still we didn't get the feeling that we wanted to finish the league. We have 1 week more to try to finish the league with a good result, and this is what is going to be our target.
That's all for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Steve. Stuart, have you got anything to add?
Can I just ask Carlos on Pippa and Harry Toffolo? Do you think that the break they have, I don't know if it's 6 weeks or whatever, will be enough to see them fully fit for the start of pre-season?
I hope, and I think so, because we know that Toffolo was making a good progress, but we were pushing him a little bit to move him and to have a fast recovery. Is not a normal injury because was something in the back that needed a little bit of rest time. It's total opposite of Pipa, because Pipa is someone that now cannot stop, but cannot stop to play the game, because he cannot play the game, but cannot stop to make exercises to continue making it stronger the groin, because he's going to continue having this type of problem. In the last 3 years, Pipa always arrived to the last of the season with this type of problem. But he is someone that, like, he's very awareness of this situation. Is someone that is working with the medical staff and is working with another is have the relation to continue working in the summer to try to fix this problem, because when you have this type of problem, you need to stop to play game, but not stop to make exercises that are going to help you to be stronger in this area. I think it's true that the number of people this game in terms of the minutes are too high. Are totally different of the number of minutes that he arrived before he arrived to Huddersfield, and I can understand that he didn't fix this problem yet. So what he's going to do is to be concentrating to try to fix the problem. The same of Toffolo. For me, Toffolo need more the recovery. Pipa need more the prevention work or the stronger work to make this area of his body stronger, to allow him to compete in the normal conditions, something that didn't happen from he was in the international break. So I hope that with this period of time in the best hands and with the good advice and exercises, both be ready to be for the starting of the preseason.
And Carol Eiting was obviously an important player for you before his injury. Will the club be having discussions with Ajax about the possibility of bringing him back for next season?
I think we are very happy with the performance, especially at the beginning of the year, before to the injury that Eiting was having. We were watching one player that had a very fast and very good adaptation to the British football. That for me is something that is not easy, because when you arrive from another culture, another type of tempo to play football, and you arrive to one country, some players are going to need more time. And I think the time of adaptation for Eiting was very fast, and it says, or it talks about the quality that he has as a player. After his injury, was a problem in the knee that he had previously before, but they didn't manage maybe in the best way. Now, after the surgery, he's showing that, of course, is a player that needs a little bit of time to make the right recovery, because for me, for example, now I cannot see the same tempo of to play, the same intensity of play like he was before to the injury. So as a club, I think the loan is going to finish this summer, but of course we know that is one player that have leave a very good feeling here to the club. So of course the club is going to analyze all the options that we can find in the market, knowing that he could be one of them too.
And I know you said to Stephen, you'll sort of analyse at the end of the season what things you need to do differently. But how have you changed over the course of the season? Is there anything that you found yourself doing differently or thinking differently?
I think as soon as you start to be thinking another first level that we start to play, you start to be thinking in a different way. I remember, I think you know better than me, that when we were close to arrive to December, we were playing many games in a row with the same formation, with the same first 11. I think was something like was no, like statistically was one of the more times that we repeat one first 11. Then as soon as you start to meet some of these players, you start to be thinking differently. You start to be thinking about which option these new players can offer to you, to the team. So like I was talking many times about this, the first injury that for me affect the performance of the team was the Josh Koroma injury, because until that moment he was having a lot of important, because he was one of the players who was in this first 11, and he was one of the players that he was taking the responsibility of scoring the goals of the team. As soon as you start to lose players, you start to be looking for the adaptation, to be watching if the team can continue playing the same way, and if the team can continue playing the same way, which is the player that can be adapted to play with the same style, with the same ideas. I think until Rolando Arons was not in the club, we didn't find exactly the perfect way. O'Brien was playing some minutes there in that position, and Bakuna was playing some minutes too. Like we're trying to see which was the best player to play in this position. Even Isaac and Benza was there too. But with the incorporation of Rolando Arons to the club, we went straight to work in the direction to work with him. Rolando Arons arrived to the club with a little bit of time without play football, without play the games. He was doing a lot of effort for me to be in the first 11 of the team and to compete. But unfortunately, 3 or 4 weeks after he arrived, we have the injury. And in that moment, with his injury, we're trying to see we have the possibility to continue playing the same way or not. I think with Isaac and Benza, we can continue playing the same way, but he started to have some problems too in the groin area, and we start to see looking if what was the best option to continue playing. I think after we beat the market in January, I started to be thinking that the team needed to be more competitive team, and maybe starting from the keeper, because I always say that it's not like every keeper is just different, and we know about the strengths that Schofield can bring us. For me, allow the team to be more thinking in to be more compact in defense, trying to play sometimes long and trying to win more the second balls and trying to attack more from these type of situations. And I think was something that during the past of the weeks we have been done. And every time maybe we were trying to play more from the back, maybe we were giving a step back of the level of the competitiveness that was necessary to keep in the league. So it was one of the things that I was thinking, that the team in some moment of the year have feel more comfortable, maybe playing more simple in attack, trying to be more competitive in the pitch. and especially after when the market was closed and we add Sanogo to the team. Sanogo was one player that allowed us to be more than elite because until that moment only Campbell was a striker, but it's true that in the last part of the season, Danny Ward was recovering from the injury that he was suffering, and we add Sanogo too. And it allowed us to be thinking that maybe to play more than elite with one striker like Sanogo could help us to be more competitive. I think in the game, for example, I remember the game versus Cardiff that we were playing at home, I was watching maybe a very good balance of the team. In moments where we try to manage well the ball from the back, with Vallejo playing in the middle of the pitch too, and with the option to play long with Sanogo as a striker. And I think in that game we find a very good balance that allows us to, for example, to compete very well that game. But after sometimes you don't find the consistency in some of the players because Vallejo, for example, after the game of Brentford in the first minute, he was injured, and we have to adapt. And the injury that we have suffered this year has not been for me injuries of 1 or 2 weeks that can affect to 1 or 2 games or 3 games. I've been injury of more long term, and with the numbers of games that we were playing in a row, we're affected to more than 1 game. So we needed to find the solution fast and trying to see alternative very regularly, trying to find another different ways to find a way to be competitive team. So that's why I told you that the adaptation have been one of the keys of this year. And in some moments, I have to tell you that was no, with adaptation, we didn't show the consistency that we should have shown as a team to can be a better team in the league.
And there's always a lot of talk in English football about the second season being more difficult. But do you think in your case, because of the experience you've had this season and because of the experience the players have had of your methods, things will be not easy, but easier next season?
I cannot talk about the future. If I reflect about the past, for us was more difficult the second part of the league than the first part of the league. I think in terms of the players, because the injury that we suffered, like Stillman had a long-term injury, Schindler had a long-term injury, the injury of Koroma, the injury, for example, of 18-2, the losing that we have with the Hammers, like have changed the team during the year. It's clear that the team have changed. So maybe the second, when you are playing in a regularly with the same players, for me, it affects in the positive way to the squads. I think sometimes the beginning of the year are going to be affected about how maybe good is the idea to the skill of the players, because the more relation between the idea and the players, the faster results you can get and the faster you can see that the team is performing well. And I think I am very positive if I have to remind the season. I think the starting of the year, we lost the first 2 games, but as soon as we start to add the players, because at the beginning it was even difficult to add some of the players in a short pre-season with no many friendly games, I think the team start to compete very fast in a good way. But I think we keep this level in the first part for me of the year, but after it was clear that in the second part of the year, the results are not being the results that as a coach I need to get. So it's very clear that this need to make us think. The reason why in the back of the one dynamic that was the right one, we get what is in the back of one good dynamic and what is in the back of one negative dynamic, trying to use a lot these type of things to be a stronger team in the future. That is exactly what we want.